Well, hello. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. I very much am enjoying it so far. So
Thank
can
you.
you just sort of talk about what part of the character, because obviously this character does not have a necessarily happy past. What part of him did you connect to? Like, what did you kind of pull into?
You know, I I I don't really. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think anytime you read a script, you find something about a character that you can sort of grab onto, and there was just something. Even though Mac is so completely different from who I am, there was just something about it that I got. And I knew who he was, and maybe it was the fact that he is sort of playing a part in his own world, uh, and has to then expand it to his whole life, really, when once he arrives in Clump. So maybe that was it. But I loved his humor, and I loved his charm, and I loved the fact that he was a little dangerous. There's something really joyful about taking a character that I think an audience maybe necessarily isn't supposed to like, and finding the bits of him that, as they watch the show, they start to understand him a little bit more, and they start rooting for him. And I think that was one of the main goals of playing Mac, was to bring a complicated person to the screen that audiences could then feel something for, and really root for by the end.
Right. And I was going to say it sort of, I think, changes, obviously as the season goes on. Can you talk a little bit about sort of once he gets to Clump, like what do do the characters like teach him? What does he kind of get out of it as it starts to sort of affect who he is? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the relationships that I really love in our series is that the relationship between Mac and Daisy. And I think it's one of the things that Mac sees in Daisy is a kid who could easily go down the same hard path that he went down, but he feels that she's at a point, where she hasn't gone off the cliff yet. So he wants to spare her the pain and the suffering that he went through. Um, deep down at least, because I think, the two of them really affect each other's lives sort of against their will, but they are so deeply entwined in not only the lies, but also the fact that they just kind of get each other, and they understand that, you know, their lives can be better than what their current situation is right now. And they each have something that they can give to each other that will make that happen.
Definitely. How hard is it though for him to kind of start to sit still, I guess, and not be able to just do what he wants and take off all the time?
I think it's extremely difficult, which makes it so much fun, because all the whole time that Mac is in Clump, he's really working against a ticking time bomb. I
Mhm.
mean, he knows that somebody is going to come looking for him, and he knows that he's got to try to find a way out of this weird, wild, completely foreign, strange place where he can't even get cell phone service.
Yeah.
Um, and disappear. He doesn't really see the forest for the trees, that he's really where he is supposed to be, because he's safe, at least where he is. But, he wants to be on the move because that's what feels safe to him. And I think that's our driving engine for the
Mhm.
show, is his lack of complacency, and, his real desire to move on from this funky little spot that he's found himself in.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how do you think you would do? I mean, could you be without much technology, without I mean, they have some technology, but without phones and all that? That would be, I know for me, it'd be very difficult. I'd probably go nuts after a while.
It's a fun question to answer while you're doing a junket on Zoom, isn't
That
it?
is true. That is true.
No, I would be terrible. I would be awful. Like, I watch my child sleep at night via an app on my phone. And, if I couldn't, it's funny, the house that I'm in right now is in a complete dead spot. And if the Wi Fi goes out, which it does often, I'm like, I'm looking around and I'm picking books off the shelf and I'm like, oh, it's quiet and I can't play music right now and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I understand that when the
I
power
felt for
goes out,
Mac.
you freak out a little bit. So
Yeah.
what was the most difficult? I mean, I think you drove on the other side of the road maybe too, but other than that, what was kind of the most difficult thing for you?
That was a challenge. But you know, it was getting used to the heat. You know, I was by when we left America, I was prepping for fall weather and enjoying seeing my flannels about to be put on my shoulders. And then come December, I was in shorts and a t-shirt and still sweating from the minute that I got up to the minute I went to bed. Um, but those were fun challenges. I mean, I have to be honest, like it was an overwhelmingly positive experience being over there and shooting in Australia. The cast and the crew and really the locals of the town that we shot in up in far north Queensland in Mission Beach were so welcoming, not only to me but to my wife and my 2-year-old who we brought along with us, that it just made it such a positive, fun, such a unique experience. You know, we were in a place that we may never have gotten to in our lives otherwise if it weren't for the television show, and we just tried to soak it in as much as possible.
All right, that makes sense. And it's beautiful there, definitely. Obviously, the beach.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Thanks so much, Jamie.
Have a good day.